you should have had in writing this, you know, going in cold, was connecting weight gaining and then figuring out the right industries. But you should have known Weber's cost, and with the way we taught Weber, I would hope that the students that wrote this a few years ago would have known weight gaining and weight losing. Questions? Yes.
Did they ever tell you like what, like, do they give you a clue to what types of questions they're going to ask?
No.
Like, do we even have enough time in the year to cover every question that they could possibly ask?
No. Well, here's the one that really made me want to just run through a wall from a few years ago. And I didn't mean that as a pun. They asked a question about which walls were built in the last 50 years in the modern world that were designed to prevent immigration or movement of people. So we talked about barriers of trade and why people came from Mexico and talked about those things. We didn't talk about walls. We didn't talk about the Berlin Wall and why it was built and who it prevented from moving, or we didn't talk about the fences that were built between the US and Mexico. Nothing about walls was in their outline. So we talked about immigration between US and Mexico, not about walls. So there was nothing to point us to put that in anything. It's not in any of the textbooks that are recommended that they use. It's not in the review books that other people write. How? And then another one, when I actually got after one of the test writers, went to training a couple years ago, and he asked a question about there's a question in the AP exam about NIMBYism. Not in my backyard. Meaning it's a neighborhood movement to keep crime and drugs and other issues out of neighborhoods. Not in our vocab list, and our vocab list is long, well, and it was on the test. The dude who was part of the test writing wrote the Kaplan review book, and he came in and I said, I had one student tell me this was on the test. I know I'm not supposed to know this is on the test, but he divulged to this question. He said, it's in your review book, but it's not in the AP vocab list. Can you explain to me why it's on the test and it's not on the AP vocab list? And he said, you're right, it should not have been on the test. Thanks. What do we do now? So you see everything I get from the AP board. I type that wording at the beginning of your outline is the descriptor that the AP board gives me from the unit. The outline that is laid out, what I put the vocab words into, is the outline released by the AP board. I teach from that. So there's time to cover everything, but we don't always know what everything is, like walls or NIMBYism. So that's where my hang-ups are. Isn't the amount of time or the amount of volume. We have a limited amount of direction from them, and we have an incomplete resource guide when they test us about things that are otherwise. So, you guys have other questions in that scope? Okay, so you're okay with this? If you guys got 6 points, get it together, we'll throw them in the basket, and then I want you to grab those 6 PowerPoint slides. That's our notes for today. We should be able to do this in about 10 minutes. Yes,
Can we receive that's actually Are you
I would think it would have to say, why don't you transport it from market is cheaper.
Because that would be awkward.
Why?
Earl thinks he wants to see you in the camera.
You said the truth, I don't think it's standard. So rather than rewrite it, add that sentence in there before you turn it in. Yeah, because you're going to otherwise just rewrite it.
Oh, yeah. That is your next hour.
You have to say that, like,
Agent's like this. Because you lost it.
You want to talk about the cost?
your hair's so long.
Does he complain about his friends?
Getting a haircut tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so
Did you see that, Janessa? Janessa? Did you see
here's what we are going to do.
Why do I have to be
Friday the 20th, I believe is the date. We are going to have a very, very brief set of notes from the 6 PowerPoint slides I've printed for you. Our topic today builds a little bit on what we've been processing about development, measuring it, models of it. Here is a reality. When we think of developed countries, just about any way we describe them, they stack up as developed. When when we think about less developed places, just about any way we measure them, they stack up as less developed. Does that sound true? So, someone got bored and decided they should come up with 7 different million ways to evaluate them so we can prove it 7 million times. Kind of silliness. But it does help us understand some ways to look at the world. So basically what we're going to do is help you get what these would mean. And actually one of them has been part of a free response question before, and I'll tell you why and how it was framed within that question, so you would get how some of these others might be used as well. Got it? With me? Okay, so here's the deal. Grab a highlighter, but don't highlight this yet, because I'm going to show you the differences, and then I'm going to tell you I don't believe it's worth studying the differences. I don't think they'll be on the test. And also, if you listen to this, you won't need to study them because it will make sense. First thing that I'm going to tell you is the word domestic means home. So, domestic measures in a country. Okay? Got that? Domestic measures in a country. National is not confined to our boundaries. So national says of a country, and over here national says within a country and from outside the country. See that reality? So domestic means within, national means in and out. Got that? Yes? Income, switch colors. Income measures the worth and the income from investments, from production, from sales. Okay? P measures goods and services produced, goods and services produced. So gross domestic product is everything we make inside of our country. Gross national product is everything American corporations make. And gross national income is the income earned by Americans through whatever value is given to their work.
Can you say that one more time?
It's whatever value is given. It is the income earned by Americans by whatever value is given to their work. Okay? So really, if you look at the terms, it sort of defines itself if you know what they mean. I will not ask you to separate these on your unit test. Should you get one that asks you to separate it on the AP test, decode it from those 3 words. Got it? Gross means total, by the way. Do you know that? Gross means total.
What does GDP mean?
So, total products made in the country. So gross means total, domestic means in country, and products means goods and services made. That's pretty simple when you break it down and look at the meanings of those 3 words in those contexts. Yes? All right, can I erase this? Because otherwise I think these dots are going to show up every slide. They're not as important anymore, are they? Wait. Okay, questions? We can measure development in ways that have nothing to do with how rich a country is. And the first one, you need to kind of know the meaning of it. We're going to talk a lot about this, but we're not going to use this term. What does occupation mean? Jobs, right? Okay, so if we're looking at job structure of the labor force, what would the labor force of a periphery country have a lot of? Subsistence farmers. What would the labor force of a developed country have a lot of? Some tertiary, quinary, that makes sense? You can talk about the job structure of a labor force? Yes? No? Do you need me to go more on that? Okay. Productivity per worker. Why do workers in developed countries produce more than workers in undeveloped countries? Caleb said it's because of better technology. It's because you're smarter and stronger. Not true, right? What differentiates our labor from theirs? Tools, machines, right? So we have higher, no, I wasn't ripping on you. I was being a smart aleck. No, what did you said?
I said we have better technology and
Right.
better training.
Yep, we have better technology and training. So the training part does in some ways make us better equipped to work. But we have the technology that allows us to work effectively. A farmer using American farming technology can make way more of a harvest than subsistence farmers. You with me? I wasn't saying Caleb was wrong. I'm sorry that came out that way, Caleb. This is simple. More phones, more internet, more roads, more railroads, more planes, more developed, right? Dependency ratio. I can ask you two questions and you will answer them both correctly. We have a lot of old people, we are? Well, we are dependent, but are we developed or undeveloped? We have a lot of young people, are we developed or undeveloped?
Undeveloped.
Okay, if we have a high level of literacy rates, we are? High level of calorie consumption, we are?
That.
I'm going with Riley, okay? Human Development Index measures 3 things. You looked them up last hour and you think I'm going to remember them?
Probably.
It measures literacy, life expectancy, and income. Just jot them down next to that. I don't know that it will be on anything. But if it is, the more you write it, the more it will sit with you. So it measures literacy rates, income, and I don't remember the second one already.
Life expectancy.
Life expectancy. Okay. Hang on to the next slide. You are developed if you have good health care, good education, good electrical utilities, and good sanitation. Pretty simple. More babies or less babies? More deaths or more deaths? Or less deaths? Makes sense. Agricultural labor force, that one is the one that has been part of a free response question before, and you've already answered it. More farmers equals periphery, because they don't have machines, because it's labor intensive, right? Makes sense? Physical quality of life index, I don't know why people make up different statistics, but this one measures infant mortality rate. I have it on my phone. Let's see what it says. It measures infant mortality rate, life expectancy, and literacy rates. Not much different than the Human Development Index. So that 3 for this one are literacy rates, infant mortality, and life expectancy. And purchasing power parity is one that I like. However, I don't think this one proves development very well. If I make $20,000 in America, can I buy myself a high quality of life? Probably not, right? If I make $20,000 a year in Mexico, can I buy myself a better quality of life? Goods there are cheaper, correct? And then take me into a Central African country, and I have an even better quality of life. So the purchasing power parity is about the quality of life acquired by your income, your purchasing power from your income, not your actual income. You with me? So if I make $7,000 a year and I have a mansion and a yacht and that would be a pretty relevant purchasing power to what I would probably make with 7 million here. That's how it works. So, it is unlikely they will go deep into this, but all of these are listed in your outline, and that's why we went through them today. Just to show you that it works, well, I shouldn't say this proves it, but this moves us towards believing it more. Telephones, Netherlands developed, Mexico moderately, Malawi not developed. Cell phones, Netherlands developed, Mexico sort of, Malawi not really. Internet, Netherlands yes, Mexico kind of, Malawi no. They're true, pretty much any representation. If we threw up any of those representations, your graph would look almost the same, wouldn't it? Questions? Those are ways we can measure whether or not countries are developed. Okay? That is it. Actually, I'm going to encourage you to take them. Oh, there's one more. Gini coefficients. Sorry. The Gini coefficient measures the degree of inequality, how unequally or how equally our wealth is distributed. If the rich are really rich and the poor are very poor, the Gini coefficient marks them as not developed. If the income inequality is low so that you're poor or wealthier, the Gini coefficient marks you as developed. Okay? Income, the gap between the rich and poor, the income inequality. It says right here. Okay? Questions? We have 16 plus 8, bell ring at 08.
Yeah.
That adds up to 24 minutes for me to get your last binders checked. Here is what you can do with your minutes. On your way in, you picked up a formative, which we will correct on Monday as a review.